The South African Cleaners, Security and Allied Workers Union is calling on the Health Department to absorb those hired by service providers that have been let go. Members say they are being exploited by the companies they work for. Some have been camping outside the department's offices since last week.
Security officers are camping here outside the Department of Health. You know, some of them, they don't have a UIF, but it was like deducted from their salaries. Some of them, they don't have provident fund, but it was deducted from their salary, but it was not paid, you know, to the Department of Labor. Some of them were being underpaid since 2014. Can you believe it, that security officers who are here, some of them, they were earning 4,200, while security SIRA rate, now it was 5,700. But members were not paid that rate, you know, because of frustration, because of whatever. And then members decided to come and camp here since last week until today. And then members are saying, we are not going to allow this situation whereby our government does not care about the security officers in our country.
The voice there of Andries Potsane, who is the secretary of SACSAO. So let's get a response to some of the claims that were made during that interview we had yesterday. And we're joined by Thabiso Maluleke, who is the director for security services at the Gauteng Department of Health. Thabiso, thank you very much and appreciate your time on the program this morning. A number of complaints were outlined by SACSAO. You heard some of them there with Andries Potsane. But I don't know if you've seen the videos, the levels of self-humiliation that the group have engaged in order to bring attention to their plight, stripping down in the Johannesburg CBD, protesting naked, sleeping on the city's CBD streets since last week as a cry for help, for their pleas to be heard. Are you aware of their plight, and what is your response to some of the calls that they are making?
Okay, no, thanks for having me and good morning to your viewers. Yes, we are aware. As the Department of Gauteng, we have noted, you know, the viral video of members of SACSAO protesting in front of our central Johannesburg office. You know, although the department acknowledges that people are allowed to exercise their constitutional right, which include public demonstrations. You know, the department condemns the manner in which the demonstration have taken place, which is public indecency, and sometimes further prohibit employees from easily accessing our buildings. You know, and as part of the issues that they have raised, the department has advised the concerned group to take the necessary route to register what they are aggrieved about, you know, in response to assertions made in the media report. You know, the department also wishes to clarify the concerned protesting group was never employed by the Department of Health. You know, the department had a month-to-month contract with the previous service providers, and ultimately. On the 1st of April, new service providers came in to occupy our sites. You know, so these new service providers, some of them did take the previous security officers. Obviously, they will have subjected them to their recruitment process, and normally as a department, we don't get involved in the recruitment process of the private security service providers. We allow them a space to recruit who they think will assist them in rendering services. So some of them, unfortunately, they fell off. They couldn't make it in the new companies.
Thabiso, I just want to come in there, and thank you very much for that response. But just a couple of things are really concerning out of what you say. This action, we understand, was an act of desperation. We understand the condemnation, and certainly they would have broken some of the city's laws and bylaws. But for the department to go to that as the starting point seems to almost make invisible the protest that they've been embarking on for a long period of time, and the fact that there was a memorandum of demands that was handed over from what we understand, the union to be saying to a representative from the Department of Health, from the MEC for the Department of Health offices on the 22nd of March. Are you saying that you've not had sight of it, and this protest that you saw unfold in the media was the first time you're hearing about the union and its demands?
No, look, it's not the first time that the group came to our offices, but some of the demands that they are making to the department are out of our scope. Like, for example, one of the current demands now is that we must find them employment on these new service providers. Well, as the department that also cares, we took their name list, and we have tried to engage these service providers to try and assist them, after having subjected them to the recruitment process. And there are some of them who got calls. Some of them, when they were called yesterday, they made statement that they are still busy protesting. So as a department, we have tried to assist them and show them the correct route. But when someone is looking for employment and we have made a move to that, and the person is getting a call, but still the person cannot leave site and go where employment opportunities are being offered, it also raises a concern on our side, because we thought the reason why they are demonstrating outside, they want to be assisted with employment. So when the department makes those efforts, and some of them are refusing to go where the companies are saying they need to go, so it's also a concern on our side. But we'll continuously engage them until we reach an agreement that everyone can be satisfied about.
Hopefully we'll find out a little bit more about this engagement, Thabiso, before our interview ends. Here's the big issue that they say is a massive problem. For the last, some of them say over the last decade, they've been paying consistently provident funds, UIF and so on. Some of them have never seen any of those benefits. Some people have actually even died not being able to access those benefits. And others, when they have been unemployed, gone to the UIF office, have not seen their names on the register. I understand what you're saying. The Department of Health provides this opportunity, or brings in, individual service providers to take care of hiring cleaners and hiring security guards. But you do have the regulatory responsibility to make sure that these companies that you are, allowing to take on these tenders or these, these contracts, make sure that they fulfill their responsibilities. So I just want to ask the question around whether you're aware that this is the allegation that's being made, that these service providers that the Department of Health has hired to do all of these things hasn't been, fulfilling their contractual obligations, and number one, for a long period of time, and number two, have continued to get work from the Department of Health. What is the official response to that?
Look, like you said, those are allegations. From our side, what we will then request is that we will request a name list of those service providers that might have breached regulations, and then the department will just have to make consultations with those mentioned companies and get their response to check whether they made deductions and they didn't give the benefits to employees. But it's something that, as a department, for now, we can't be responding until maybe an investigation is conducted where we consult with these companies and hear their side of the story also.
With your permission, Thabiso, can we, just to be useful and also to make sure that the story kind of comes full circle, can we then make that possibility for that connection between yourselves and the union to do that, for them to outline which companies they maybe have worked for, companies that they say have failed to fulfill their contractual obligations to them?
Yes, if we are provided with that information, obviously the department will then consult with the mentioned companies and see how far we can assist one another.
As far as you know, though, those on your register, those that you do use and you do rely upon, they're all above board. Talk to us about your oversight of the service providers, both for the cleaners and for the security guards, once those contracts are given and approved.
Yes, I'll speak about for the security officers. What we do is that upon the service provider getting employment, we sign a service level agreement with condition into it. And then our monitoring is based on the service level agreement that we will have entered between the department and the service provider. And yes, we are advising service providers, or we are requesting service providers to adhere to any regulations within the country. That includes ensuring that employees get their benefits accordingly. So that's what we do. We monitor it according to the service level agreement that we have agreed upon.
And if it's found that they've breached their service level agreements, what action will you take? And before you answer as well, would the non-provision of UIF, the non-registry of the non-provision of Provident Fund, the non-registry of UIF, will these all constitute breaches in that service level agreement, Thabiso?
Look, from our side, the service level agreement obviously says people need to be abiding by legislations. Yes, if someone is breaching those legislations, as a department, we'll have to act. At some stage, we'll just take the normal contract management process where there are warnings until we are able to terminate the contract.
All right. So I think it is important, not only in the public interest, but also in terms of the welfare of these affected people and also the credibility of the department and all of its agencies, that we do get to the bottom of this. So thank you very much, Thabiso, for that.